Welcome back to Boom and Bust. I'm your host, Tony Clement, having a conversation with Francois Pachet. He is a scientist, composer, discussing the application of generative artificial intelligence in the music industry. Francois, another topic that is getting a lot of attention is those artists who feel that generative AI is a threat to themselves as artists and to creativity. Could you give us your perspective on this issue?
Yeah, I think it's true that there is maybe some threat, especially I would say for what we call the synchronized music, music designed to fit with a movie or advertisement or that kind of stuff, where you want music that's all right, but that's not too interesting because the focus is not the music itself, it's the image usually. For those cases, yes, I've heard generation by these systems which are clearly competing at the human level. I mean, and yes, there may be some stress, but I guess it's always the same story when a new technology arrives. I imagine that the best thing to do is to learn these technologies, learn how to use them in creative and interesting ways. For sure, I cannot predict what will happen with the economy of synchronized music, but for sure, these technologies create an extra pressure to do more interesting, innovative stuff. So that's maybe the threat, indeed, that's happening. For, let's say, music as an art form, I don't really see a threat currently. It's just like yet another generation of tools, which is very exciting. And actually many musicians find it exciting and try to learn how to use it in different, creative ways. So the threat, I would say, is really for synchronized music currently.
I want to get back to that, but I also have been reading about how Europe is sort of clamping down on the use of data to train AI, and I'm wondering whether you have a comment on that, whether that's a good use of regulation or a bad use of regulation.
Yes, there was this thing called the AI Act voted by the European Parliament, indeed, which is very defensive. It's very protective of the copyright holders, usually the artists or the labels, and it's very much against. I don't want to be too let's say radical here, but it's quite opposed to, let's say, the AI industry, and quite on the side of artists, which is good in some sense, but it's I think a bit excessive, because we do need to have AI industry. This is going to happen, whether people want it or not, and there is a high risk. And I speak as a French, therefore a European citizen, that the industries will go to countries where things are just like possible. So
right.
Yes, there is a kind of Europe is too defensive. Sometimes the US is too much on the industry side. There is this kind of battle, if you want, that's going on today.
Right.
But there are also interesting cases, trials which have been opened recently in the US and also in the UK. And so we are all watching this very carefully to what is this going? Where is this going to bring us? Right. Honestly, no one knows, I think, currently.
Right, but you talk about a balance, which is interesting. So there must be some way where we can encourage new applications of AI, but at the same time have some basic protections for artists. Is that what you're thinking?
Yes. The thing is that no one knows exactly how to do this technically, because this AI is trained usually on very large data sets, like hundreds of thousands of songs, for instance. And so, yes, there is a problem of the legality. It's not very clear. In the US, you have the fair use, a principle, which is not very clear whether it allows training or not. This is being discussed heavily by many people. But even if it is, then how do you cannot just pay royalties to hundreds of thousands of artists, right? It's too much. So, and the revenues currently are very small. Actually, they are not existent yet. So we have to wait and see. As we say in French, il est urgent d'attendre. It's urgent to wait.
Urgent to wait. Yeah, exactly. Well, as you mentioned, and things are happening so quickly that even if you tried to regulate, you might be behind the curve on things that are already happening in the marketplace?
I do think the regulation is too early. Yes, I do think we need regulation in the end, of course, but it's too early to see exactly how to implement it. That usually Europe is late, and that time Europe was a bit too early, probably.
Francois, we're going to take another brief break. I appreciate your attendance here on this program. We'll be back with you after these messages.